Hello and welcome. We are doing step 3.6, which is to extract FM encumbrances into budget cube. Now, encumbrances are essentially, certain, line items from, they're commitment line items that are already there in the ODS. And what we are trying to do is there are certain rules, built in the system so that it extracts only the FM encumbrances from the commitment line items records that are available in ODS, and it puts into the budget cube, which is SBPSB prep. Okay, so this step is also a data mart, as in the records are getting pulled from this ODS 0PU underscore 031 to into the budget cube, and I think I have a slide that shows you. Okay, so I'm in this PowerPoint slide. If you can see, this is what we are doing: extracting data from commitment line item, the canister, um, into the budget cube. It's BPSB prep. Now, one of the most important things whenever you load data into budget cube, what you need to do is in the admin workbench, go to the info provider, and you select the name of your info provider, which in this case is a transactional cube, SBPSB prep. Now, what is a transactional cube? It's a cube, an info cube, which can store records both in the planning mode and loading mode. So, planning mode meaning data can get into this cube from the BPS front end, or it can be loaded from the back end, from the BW admin workbench. Okay, so we are at the moment when we are trying to load extract FM encumbrances into budget cube, we are using the BW backend, which is the admin workbench, to load data from ODS into the budget prep cube. And because it's a data mart, the name of the ODS is 8 followed by the name of the source info provider, which is 0PU underscore 031. Okay, so this is what we are doing. We need to find out a cube. So what I did was in the admin workbench, I went to the info provider option here, and then I'm looking for my info cube for budget prep. And when I find it, I'm supposed to, before we load data into the cube, it has to be switched from planning mode to loading mode. At the moment, the transactional cube is already in loading mode. It says transactional cube can be loaded with data, planning not allowed. And this is what the cube needs to be set at for data load to take place into this budget prep cube. After we are done with this loading of data from BW backend, I can flip it back to transactional cube can be planned so that it can be used for budget prep. You can use your planning layouts, but at the moment it has to be in the loading mode. So I click on OK. So it's in the loading mode. I go back to the info sources, and then I have to look for my info source 80pu underscore 031. Click on the binoculars again, enter the name of the info source, select. Under the info source you find the data source, and then we are looking for this. I'll try loading. I have again I followed a naming convention where I call encumbrances dash 2011 budget prep dash full load to SBPSB prep. And once you have named it that way, it is important to have the info package set to exactly that. So you can't call encumbrances full load and be doing it. So you just make sure that everything is consistent. Okay. So here we are loading 2011 encumbrances into the system. In the data selection, this is 2011 budget prep, and when you do 2011 budget prep, you're actually getting encumbrance data for 2010. Okay, so that is something that that's very important. You have that in mind. Processing tab, it goes to PSA and the data target, and here I select the second radio button, which is select data target, and the data target here is a budget prep cube SBPSB prep. So you make sure that you've selected only this cube and not the reporting cube, because that's where the data needs to go. Okay, the encumbrances need to go to the budget prep cube. In the update, I have full update and always update even if no master data exists. I can click on start. It says the data was already loaded for this selection on blah blah blah. Okay, on 1st of July. No, I mean, it's saying, do you want to schedule again? I say no. Why? Because if I schedule again, if the data is already in the cube, and if I select it again, then it'll be double counted. So what is important is to delete the records that are there in the cube. So I'm going to RSA 1. I have opened another session. For my demonstration, I'm going to just show you how I delete a record because it's very important. And info cube aggregates data. So if you load the same info package again twice, it'll double count it. So whenever you need to load it with new fresh set of data, you need to drop the old one. So I see here that there's an info package already created. So I have to drop it. I'm going to drop that info package. Say yes. Okay, and well, there's again one more 2011. So it has been loaded multiple times. So this was probably done. The system, the budget prep cube has not been cleaned up. So I'm actually going to just clean it up. I'm only cleaning up the ones that I'm interested in. In this case, I'm interested only in encumbrances for 2011. So, I mean, for 2011 budget prep, which means it wants 2010 data. So I've deleted those records. I go back to my info package. It says that I'm already logged. I have another session here. Okay. So this is the info package that I had created. I'm going to click on start again. Now if you see, there you go. It's loading some data into it. So while the data gets loaded, I'm going to pause. Okay. The data has got loaded now, and if you go to budget prep, you selected go to request tab, you can see that request 7158 has encumbrances. And I said before, if you want to verify what data got into the info cube, you can go to list cube, enter the name of the info cube, which is SBPSB prep, and then you select all fields, and then under request ID you enter number 7158, and you can see only the set of data that got loaded in this request 7158. There are all the details here in this manage screen gives you information about what was the data selection, how many data got transferred. At the moment, we can see that there are 12,383 records in there. So that's how the data gets loaded into the budget prep cube. We have completed this step, which is extract FM encumbrances into budget cube as a full load. Okay, thanks.